Hi, I'm Anthony Newbold. Welcome to Closer Look. My guest this week, as we talk about policing in this new climate, Commissioner of Police, Mr. Paul Rolle. Commissioner, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
First of all, let me say congratulations to you on being named Commissioner. How's the adjustment been? You were just a heartbeat away.
Yeah, it's different.
Different.
You know, yeah, I came in the midst of this pandemic, managing the hurricane, Dorian in Grand Bahama and Abaco, and then of course COVID came on, and that added a new twist. So for us in law enforcement, it's unusual. These are not your usual policing as we have become accustomed to over the years.
Yeah. Quite a number of your officers ended up contracting the virus. How are you doing with that, and do you have that in hand?
Yeah, I think we have it in hand now. You know, as we manage the pandemic, what we found was that eventually, particularly in the second wave, several of our officers became infected and had to be quarantined. Of course, you had even way more who we had put in quarantine, because being proactive, once we suspected that an individual may have been exposed, we right away placed them in quarantine because of the nature of the job, you know, and at first it was taking very long to get results back, so we had to move swiftly to help to prevent the further spread of that.
Of the virus. You've one of the new things. Well, you've been on the streets since you've been appointed, and you know, I remember former Commissioner Greenslade growing to some high-profile scene at some point. But we're not accustomed to seeing our commissioners on the streets. What was your objective, or what is your objective in going out there?
Well, there are a couple of objectives in that. Is anybody who know me and my days in CID would know that I'm a street man. I like to go out and lead the officers. I like for the officers to be able to see their leader out. Yeah. Particularly as we were going through, and as we go through these are difficult times. Yeah. I don't want the rank and file to just see us as isolated in a nice office away from everybody. No, they're out. You know, we've been working these roadblocks, and they'll tell you I've been out every night during the roadblocks at the initial stage. And then once the officers begin being infected, I let them know, look, I go out as well. Yeah. I'm in the midst of the people, I'm interacting with the people, and whereas I don't want to be infected, but the fact of the matter is whatever I ask you to do, I'm prepared to do as well.
Yeah. You've reconfigured, I say reconfigured, but there's a new leadership team in the force. I think all commissioners do that once you want your team around you. How is that working for you? You have what you need?
Pretty much. One of the things that I did, Anthony, when I took over was I got a team from the executive leadership team that I was able to put in place. And of course, if you've been watching the series recently, we have a number of female senior officers who rose to the high rank in the force and are now heading policing divisions. What I've done was strategically place them in all quarters of the island, including CID. Yeah. Okay, and so
which again is unusual. Actually, most unusual. You have your deputy is a woman.
Yeah, and you know, my deputy is a woman, as well as we have another female assistant commissioner. This is the first time we've ever had two female officers on the executive team. Bearing in mind, you know, those officers they work and they can compete with any of the male officers, neck and neck. The same thing I do, they go out on the road, they are interactive, and they are well respected by their peers.
Yeah, and obviously I would imagine it's a different perspective that females always have. They're females, we're males. Yeah. You and I talked about former Commissioner Greenslade going on a high-profile scene. I think of high-profile scenes, and I think of Abaco. What's the situation with Abaco? I know the minister and several, a lot of you went down to Abaco recently.
Yeah.
What's the situation? What can you tell us about Abaco?
Well, Abaco, since the hurricane, Abaco got beat up very bad, and we had to then adjust. A lot of the businesses were destroyed, homes were destroyed, and of course, the officers that were there, we had to move them out, and we rotate officers. Started weekly, then we went to bi-weekly, and then monthly, and then I recently attempted to get a firm presence on the ground there in Abaco. In the midst of that, I think things got a little out of hand, and there were a number of complaints, and we had to adjust. We had to then adjust our policing strategy for Abaco, and the minister will speak some more on that, I believe, in due course. I'm preparing a document now, which I'm going to be presenting to him either later today. With my assessment, we have been, I went down and was able to secure a number of places that we can put officers in, that they could, the thing is we need accommodation, and as we get them, we are taking them.
Housing has been a big challenge.
Yeah, that has been a big challenge. And then compounding with that was I had transferred officers from Grand Bahama to Abaco to build the numbers, and then the pandemic, we started experiencing officers being tested positive in Grand Bahama. That's where it started.
Yeah.
That then affected the ability of those officers to move, because at one point, I think Grand Bahama had about 100 and thereabouts, 105, 120 officers out.
Yeah.
So to move 30 of them at that point into Abaco, and I suspect that criminals realizing it began to take advantage of that in the Abacos.
Yeah.
That has been kind of neutralized now, though.
Yeah. But as you said, the minister is expected to speak.
Yeah, he'll
using
speak
your report as a basis.
And the minister was down as well.
Right.
And so I don't want to preempt anything further that he would have to wish to say pertaining to that.
Okay, and I want to talk to you some more about crime in general, but we got to take a break, and we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back to A Closer Look. I'm Anthony Newbold, speaking with Commissioner of Police Paul Rolle, talking about crime generally. I know that you have the various divisions, Southeast Division and Southwest Division.
Right.
I haven't looked at your stats recently, but do you report those statistics by division?
Yeah.
So I'm imagining then that these are used as the basis for, where the hot spots are, given.
Yeah, I promised when I came in that I would do the normal mid-year. As I have to prepare a mid-year report on my policing plan, which goes to Parliament.
Right.
And then I also want to do a quarter and a third quarter. Okay. But remember, I came in at the end of the first quarter, so I went straight into preparing the policing plan, and I got that into Parliament. And then I met with the media at the end of June, sometime in early July. I'm due to go back to them, I believe, around the first week or second week thereabouts in October.
Yeah.
And I'll talk a bit about crime again. And in the first half, we note that crime overall in the Bahamas, crime was down. I don't remember the numbers offhand, but in most of the divisions, we've seen some increase in the Southwest Division. Not so much increase, but they were leading in terms with armed robberies that So if it's stolen vehicle and theft, they were showing up more so in the Southwestern Division and West, that whole western area of New Providence, which we had to then change some strategies in there and to respond to persons. We had been encountering a lot of theft of gas tanks, and we're still experiencing that now. I saw something here recently. I have to get the facts on it though. And house break-ins in the western portion of the island. The remainder of the Bahamas, though, has been pretty quiet. Recently, I've seen some activities picking up in Andros, and I've dispatched the Assistant Commissioner for Family Island to go to Andros and to find out what is going on.
That is unusual for Andros, eh?
Not really. North Andros.
Okay.
That's my home.
Okay, that's your home. So that's fine. Listen, unfortunately, people judge the level of safety and the amount of crime by the amount of murders committed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking, how safe is this country?
The country is very safe. The truth of what you've just said is that murders are visible.
Yeah.
Because you have a murder, you have a body, everybody sees that. And so if you're having murders, no matter the fact that you could say house break-ins are down, armed robberies are down, thefts are down, but you just had 2 people murdered last night.
Yeah.
And so as long as you have murders, the temperature, you say whatever you want, if people are afraid that they're going to get shot and killed, then there'll always be that fear, which I think is more so than the reality of crime itself. And so what you'd asked earlier, what we hope to achieve in going out, and it is just that, to get the message for people to understand that the police are here.
Yeah.
It is safe to go out. But in any circumstance, you would take the normal precaution to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And so these are common sense issues.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and over the hill.
Right.
Whether it's Bainstown, Grantstown, Montel, Grove, wherever. How does the perception of the young people in those areas, specifically the young men, how does their perception of what you do, how does that help, assist, make it difficult for you to do your job in those areas?
We've been making inroads in those areas because, we've came out of an era over the years where young men being locked up. There was always this confrontation between the police and the mainly young men. But if you notice, we have been going back into those communities. I've had the police officers up on a daily basis, going in there, they're interacting with these young men, they're getting to know them. And as we get to know them, I go in there myself. I talk with them. That's one of the reasons why I go. And they have issues, I listen to what they have to say, and I've said to the officers, listen to what these persons have to say. But there is an element, a very small element in our society, Anthony, that is not interested in that.
Yeah.
Okay? And that small percentage is that portion of the population that is creating all of this fear. And all of those communities that you talk about, it is still a safe place. We don't have no break-ins in Baintown.
Yeah.
And in Montelites, you'll have a shooting every now and then. You don't have no armed robbery. Now, what is becoming of a concern to me is down in the Grove.
Yeah.
Okay? Coconut Grove. I've seen an emerging trend in there, and I'm meeting with the team today because we need to address that. Every other night we're having incidents before that gets out of hand.
Yeah. Gangs have always been a challenge, and I know some time ago there was a unit created, established to focus specifically on that. How is that working out? Is it still there?
That's still there. We just arrested last night about 8 persons in Adelaide for gang affiliation, and you're going to see more and more persons now being arrested for participating in these illegal gangs, because a lot of them are the ones who are creating the the havoc and causing people to feel unsafe.
Something else I wanted to mention. A lot of the crime, murders too,
Right.
They involve people wearing ankle bracelets. How do you deal with that?
When you say involved, people wearing ankle bracelets, you're talking about?
They either commit crime or they're the victims of crime.
Not entirely. We have persons who are, a number of persons who wore ankle bracelets. They were previously charged. The issue is persons being charged for murder, and they go to prison and they get bail.
Yeah.
So the issue for us is always that there's this big difficulty in having matters and cases tried in a timely manner once we put them before the court. There's the Privy Council ruling, which mandates, I believe it's 3 years that you need to have these matters disposed of. Well, if you look at my time at CID, Ace, I put some 2,400 cases before the Supreme Court, in my time.
Yeah,
so
a lot.
Yeah, and if you have 10 courts doing roughly 10 cases per year, let's do the maths. That's 24 years, eh?
Yeah.
I'll be a senior retiree, and they'll still be dealing with my cases.
With your cases.
I've been out of CID now 4 years.
Yeah.
And I believe there's been another 900. So unless we deal with the issue in getting these matters through the court system, and that's a discussion for another day, but I suppose we need to look at the plea bargaining and try to get persons to play, because what will happen eventually is people don't feel satisfied with the judicial system no more than they feel satisfied with the police.
Yeah.
And so when these persons get charged for murder and they get bail, the court is then forcing to have to give them bail, and you got the other element in the society said, well, we can have court.
We can have court, yeah.
And they have...
The brass verdicts take place at that point.
And that's street justice. And
street justice,
a judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but that's the reality.
All right, we're going to talk about technology when we come back, but we got to take another break, and we'll be back with more with Commissioner of Police Paul Rolle after this. Welcome back to A Closer Look. I'm Anthony Newbold, speaking with Commissioner of Police Paul Rolle. Commissioner, I promised to talk to you a little bit about technology with the time we have left.
Right.
You have shot spotter, you've got CCTV, you've got the drones, and now you got body cams. How are all those helping you to do your job?
Well, I'll say shot spotter has been helping us to identify the shooting incidents and being able to dispatch officers right away. If you look at the report that I've done, we've already had a couple of encounters with suspects who were caught red-handed with firearms. And so the drone technology, as you see, we are dealing with it right now. The techs are here from SWIFT and looking at the areas where we're going to put those nests so that when a shot is fired now in the future, the technology is integrated. The drones can get airborne and get in that area quickly, begin taking photos and sending images back to us. The body worn, we rolled out about a little over a month ago. The officers are wearing it, and we have not had any major incident as such that we had to, but we had to review some of the footages recently that you have seen at one of the local night spots where an officer was seen tackling a young man, and the body cam is helping us with those investigations.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that. There's been a huge outcry about police brutality all over the world, actually, but certainly next door to our neighbor in North and with us here as well. Yeah. Have you institutionalized, tried to come up with some special program to sensitize your officers about how to behave?
We have been doing a whole lot, Anthony, and if you looked at this year compared to last year, when I began dealing with those. We have dealt with quite a bit of them, and the complaint this year has actually been now cut in half. So it's a step in the right direction, but my view is one is too many.
Yeah.
And I've been taking a no-nonsense approach to it, and dealing with those matters of wherever we find evidence, I take decisive action.
And of course, I'm asking the question, but I also know that policemen and women must present an authority figure. They've got to be authoritative, and you know, they got to do their job, which could be dicey sometimes because people don't always cooperate with you.
They don't, and then they test the officers, you know.
Yeah.
And so, as much as we say to the officers, you know, you have to maintain decorum. That's difficult in a lot of instances, and you'll be dealing with one, and then you'll have somebody on the side who's agitating.
Yeah.
And what we try to do in instances like that is to remove the agitator in order to quell the hostilities.
Yeah. You and because we're talking about it, how exactly is that disciplinary? What's the process that happens if a complaint is made and you got to discipline somebody, or seek to determine whether you're going to discipline somebody?
Yeah, when we get a complaint, the complaint and corruption branch serves the officer with a CD4. You have to let him know that you're conducting an investigation, and they go about doing the investigation. Once that is completed, they then send that to the deputy commissioner with recommendations, whether it's founded or not. If it's founded, the deputy will write to me requesting that we have a tribunal. I'll appoint a president, and the officers are able to hire lawyers. It's the same. We follow the same rules as the courts. I think people have to also understand, though, that the purpose of the tribunal, as in any semi or military or paramilitary organization in which we are, the officers who commit breaches in the execution of their duties, they don't be put before the court unless that is a very egregious act. We take disciplinary action against them internally. When if an officer conducts something outside, then that doesn't go before the tribunal. I can put it there or opt to put it in the magistrate court. They then appear before the court, and there's a trial. Either he pleads guilty, or he goes to trial, is brought guilty, or he's acquitted.
Yeah.
Once if he's found guilty, it comes back to me.
Right.
I summon the officer, let him know that these are the findings, and I can accept it or vary it. Okay, so I can depend. If it's not at the maximum, I can increase it or I can decrease it.
So there's your court, your tribunal in the force,
right?
And of course, there's the outside. There's a normal legal proceedings that I would go through as a normal citizen if I committed a crime.
Yeah. If that happens outside, you go to the outside court. We can't try a person for rape, for example, if something happens, or an indictable offense. No, they have to go to the court. But assaults, we have those authorities. Yeah.
And you don't see the need, other than what you do as your tribunal. There's no need for any special body to be constituted to deal with those matters.
We have the police inspectorate. That's an active body, and they look
Of course,
over.
they're going to say that's you policing yourself.
No, the inspectorate, Tanya McCartney, she is the chairman of that, and that's a point. They are, I don't remember all of the members, but it's about 5 members. They're not police officers, and they can look at any of the investigation and also can make recommendation to determine whether or not they're being fair and persons are being treated fairly.
Final question, you always going to need to supplement your force. What do you say to the young man or woman out there who's watching this program and trying to determine whether they want to be a police officer?
I would invite them to come and join. The police force has been good. It continues to be good. and it's a great career. I've been here now 37 plus and change, and over the hill now. But for the youngster, and we have right now, Anthony, about 3,500 applications on the desk, because we're going through those and trying to I mean, we can only take, I'm not sure yet how much they're going to allow us to. I asked for 150.
Yeah. How many do you have on your force now?
Including the reserves, we have about 4,000 officers.
What's the optimum number you'd like to have?
Police officers, I need like about 32 to 3,500 sworn officers.
Active, yeah.
That's not the reserves.
Yeah.
Because we still have the family islands. I believe that we can do more in those family islands. Nassau right now is almost at the optimum, but then that's like a balance sheet.
Yeah.
It's snapping time, and then tomorrow 5 officers retire.
Yeah.
So you have to just keep up with that.
Well, listen, Commissioner, thank you very much, and all the best as you continue to do what you need to do to keep us safe.
Thank you very much, sir.
And thank you for watching A Closer Look. Remember, you can watch us on Facebook and on YouTube.